Welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, for an old classic video, because we are going to be playing the game of keep or sell with the current Barcelona squad, and especially here ahead of the summer transfer window and after the arrival of Hansi Flick as the Barca coach. Now feels like the perfect time to decide who stays and who should go. And I'm going to be giving my opinion here on what I'd like to see happen, along with discussing what the club look to be planning, and loan players will be included as well. Every Barca player discussed. It's going to be a big one. So sit back, relax, and I hope you're going to enjoy. Let's do this. But first of all, I do have to give an extra special super thanks shout out here to George on the channel today, and he's a regular here on the videos, and his comments are always worth a read there, so really big thanks, really appreciate it there for the great support. And let's crack straight on with this Barcelona squad, because this summer I think we are going to see some element of change. We're also going to see Flick actually try to get the best out of players too, so it's going to be interesting to see who you decide to keep and who you decide to sell right here. Let's kick off with Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who I would say right now, keep at the club. You know, it's going to happen. We know that he's going to remain as the Barcelona goalkeeper, but what I don't want to see, and this is not only about him, but every Barca player, nobody should be comfortable. Nobody should be sat there thinking, well, my place is safe, and not just for this season, but for many years to come, I'm going to remain here and be the number one. We've got to push people. We've got to make sure that people are raising their level, and I think as the number two, I'm okay with Iñaki Peña. You know, I think last season, obviously, he did struggle a bit as the number one. I wouldn't think here that he can replace ter Stegen, to be perfectly honest with you, but I'm fine to keep him here as the number two goalkeeper. And then we move on to Hector Fort. This is an exciting young man right here. Just renewed his contract until 2026 after a breakthrough season at the club. And of course, he's so valuable on both sides of the field. He showed that last season. Right back, left back, he can show his quality, and he's going to be so useful to have in Hansi Flick's squad next season. A big keep, of course, there. But what about Julian Araujo, the first tier of the loan players? He's coming back after a really good season, by the way, under Garcia Pimienta at Las Palmas, and I was really impressed with him in La Liga across the campaign, and I'd like to have a look at him. You know, I'm not going to say guaranteed keep right now, but I don't think we should be rushing to cast him out either. He played well last season. Let's have a look at him in pre-season. Let's have a look at him here under Hansi Flick, and of course, let's remember, we are not blessed really with natural right-back options, so let's see what Julian Araujo can do. But on Serginho Dest, another player who has been out on loan, we know unfortunately right now he has an ACL injury that's going to see him miss much of this year right here, so he is going to be staying. He is a keep right now at the club, because obviously we can't do anything else, but I think in January it's going to be interesting to see whether PSV come back in for him. Potentially we may be able to sell him then, or we could loan him out for the rest of the season. So Dest is going to be staying for now at Barca, before we then move on to Pau Cubarsí, who is of course a definite keep at the club. He has just actually been ruled out of Spain's Euro squad for the summer. It looks like he's going to play the Olympics. Barca, of course, very keen for him not to play both tournaments, so that certainly from a club point of view is a positive there, that he's not going to be overworked this summer. Cubarsí has a huge part in our team. Araujo, I would say keep, of course. He is a player there that is top quality. He is somebody who at his best, he is a leader, he is a warrior at the heart of our defence, but we've got to cut out those silly mistakes, you know, that we saw creep in towards the end of the season, when I think actually the criticism got to him a bit. I think at times he was being a bit rash in the challenges, lunging into tackles, and Flick, of course, is a big admirer of him, so he wants to keep him at the club, even though Araujo could raise big money, but let's keep him here. And the same I would say for Koundé. I think he actually started last season a little bit shakily, you know. I think at centre-back, the jury's still out. We still don't know how good Koundé can be as a Barca centre-back, but when he moves over to the right side, he is so effective. He is so solid on that side there. So he's another player that I'd be looking to keep, but I'm still trying to work Koundé out. Will Flick be able to unlock him as a centre-back? And will he be open to playing somebody like Koundé at right-back, or will he want a natural player in that position? But after Laporta's words recently on Koundé, he praised him. I would expect him to stay at the club. And then there's Andreas Christensen, who's another player there that could generate funds to Barca. It could be tempting to listen to offers for him, but again, if you can, you'd want to keep him. You know, he is a player there that is a very high-level player, not only at centre-back, but he's also really helped us in midfield towards the end of last season. You've got to say he helped us out in that area. Not a long-term option there, but it's good to have somebody like that in your squad. So you'd want to keep him if you can, although his injuries are a bit of a concern, and Barca may think about offers if they arrive. And then there's Inigo Martinez, who I would say right now, again, if you can keep him, he's a good player to have. He's a good option to have. Again, there's injury concerns there, but you could say that for most of the Barcelona team. But I think if a centre-back has to leave, probably it's going to be Inigo, because of his contract situation. He could walk away for free if the club decide that this summer. He would be first in line to leave if we need salary room, but again, he's a player you'd like to keep if you can. And I would say the same as well for Mikhail Faye. But already you can see here, guys, lots of centre-backs at the club, lots of players here that we'd like to keep. But if there's an opening, Mikhail Faye can fill it. And obviously Barca, again, they will have offers coming in, there will be money on the table and an opportunity to make profit on Mikhail Faye, but I wouldn't be too tempted to take it. You know, we don't want to snap people's hands off for money. Well, we've got a good player here. We've got a good, talented player that I'd like to see more of, and I would keep him in our team, but I would definitely sell Eric Garcia. You know, no disrespect to him, but I just think it's a perfect time. He's coming off the back of a good season at Girona. His stock has risen, so why not cash in on him now? It is the perfect opportunity to get some money in, not getting rid of a player there that's really high quality, that has huge potential. I would personally sell him this summer and use him to raise a bit of cash there, and he'd be the centre-back that I would be most accepting to lose, aside from, obviously, Clement Longley. Because Aston Villa, well, surprise, surprise, they don't want to buy him. He is under contract at Barca still incredibly until 2026. It is unbelievable. Every summer we talk about this, and it's going to be another summer, guys, unfortunately here on the channel, of me trying to convince every club in the world that Longley is a good player. Come in and get him. Please, somebody take this man away, and maybe permanently. Don't take him on loan. Sign him for good. We must sell Longley. Can this be the summer where we make it happen? We will wait and see. And then there's Alejandro Balde. Now, this is somebody who's going to feel like a new signing at the club. Missed a lot of last season through injury, and even when he was available, wasn't at his best. I think Flick has got a real plan for him there. He wants to turn him into the kind of player that Alphonso Davies was for him at Bayern. So I'm excited to see Balde under Hansi Flick. And then there's Cancelo. Now, this one for me, I'm really up in the air about this, because on the one hand, look, he's quality. You know, he's got quality about his game. Going forward, he is absolutely magnificent, and he helped us in many, many games last season offensively. But would you really pay 25, 30 million euros to get him permanently for somebody, though, that you can't trust defensively? You know, we also saw huge flaws in his game defensively, so I wouldn't keep him if we have to buy him. Now, would I take him on another loan? Well, that's a different story. I probably would. I'd keep him on another loan deal, because obviously he's good to have around. He's a good player to have in your locker, but I would not pay big money to sign Cancelo this summer. I wouldn't be allocating our budget there to go and snap him up. And another player there at left back that I certainly would not be rushing to keep, well, that's Marcos Alonso. And luckily this summer, it seems as though his time at the club is coming to an end. We are indeed going to let him go. We're not going to be able to sell him, but his contract does expire this summer, and there is no sign at all that that will be renewed. But what about there Alex Valle? This is another player who's been out on loan this season. Really good spell he's had at Levante, and Xavi seemed to be planning to include Valle in the first team squad from next season. So I'm interested to see what Flick is going to do. Obviously it depends there probably on Cancelo, on how good Balde can be, whether Valle will get opportunities. But with Alonso going out, there may be the possibility there of him stepping up. But you've also got, of course, like we said earlier, Hector Fort, who can fill in on both sides as well. And then there's Roberto, who Hansi Flick, he doesn't really want, does he? He does not want Roberto at the club, and all signs right now are pointing to an exit. And again, I'd let it happen personally, because at the end of the day, we've got to start fresh at the club. We've got to start really instilling here some change into the squad. And Roberto, you know, he can play a role, he can play a part. He still had his moments last season where he did help us in some way, but I think the time has come now to just move on. The end of his contract is coming. It's the perfect time to say, look, let's cut ties, let's end it here, let's close the chapter, and let's move on now from Sergi Roberto, in my opinion. And I'd also like to see, unfortunately, unfortunately the end of Oriol Romeu at Barca. It would be a definite sell in my opinion. Maybe this summer he could head back to Girona. Apparently they'd still be really interested in signing him, so maybe there's possibility to get maybe a few million back for him. I don't know if Barca will be able to do that. Will we give him away for free? That's something that we often see with this club. So Romeu for me, a definite sell. It did not work out for him last season. And then there's players in midfield like İlkay Gündoğan. He of course is a guaranteed keep. He was one of our most consistent players last season, and I'm really excited to see what he can do under Hansi Flick, somebody who knows him very, very well. Of course, Pedri is another player that's going to be staying at the club. Excited as well about him under Flick. Got to keep him injury free, and also plenty more to come as well from Pedri. Gavi, again, much like Balde, he is definitely going to feel like a brand new signing, and what a new signing really to come back into the team. He's going to be so effective there and so suited, I feel, to Hansi Flick's high intensity play that screams Gavi, and I cannot wait to see him back in a Barcelona shirt again. But what about Frenkie de Jong? Because that is a debate that still goes on amongst Barcelona fans. Now, for me, I think he's got to do more. I think even people right now, when you're listening to the Dutch media ahead of the Euros, they're asking for more from him. They know about his quality. We know about his talent. You know, he's a very, very good player. There's nobody's arguing about that. But we've got to see more of it. You know, there's got to be a higher level there, and in big moments from Frenkie de Jong, in my opinion. He's a player that could raise big money. He's a player that you could use there to generate funds if you needed it for another pivot. But I think what we're all hoping for here is that we can sign a top pivot and keep Frenkie. That would be the ideal. Let's bring in somebody with real good defensive qualities alongside him, and also be able to keep Frenkie in the team, because then you're starting to bless your midfield with so much talent. So keep for me, but demand more from him. We need more from Frenkie de Jong. And then there's Fermin Lopez. Now this is somebody who, again, I'm really excited to see how Flick plays with him, because I think Fermin looks like the kind of player that Flick would like. Again, a high intensity player there, somebody who can be very explosive, and he's also somebody, Hansi Flick, who likes to have midfielders a bit closer to the forwards there, people who can make advanced runs, people there who can get close to the strikers and provide that support. Fermin is all of those things that I'm really excited to see him kick on from what was a fantastic season, particularly near the end of it at the last campaign. But what about Pablo Torre then, another one of the lone players? And I think this season at Girona, I've got to be honest guys, he's not really helped his case. He didn't really have the greatest of season there, wasn't really able to get too many opportunities. I think actually in the end it hurt him that he went to such a good team. You know, we didn't expect Girona to be right at the top of the league there and playing so well. That put more pressure on him. He didn't get maybe as many chances as he was expecting. So I think for Pablo Torre, I don't think he's quite ready to come back. I would certainly there send him out on loan again if we can, to maybe a lower La Liga team where he can get more minutes, where he can show more quality. A team that likes to play football though. There is more to come from Pablo Torre. I still do have belief in him, but he is not ready, in my opinion, to be a Barca player next season. A player that is, though, ready, even despite his young age, Lamine Yamal. Let's keep him in the team. What a season he had, and I cannot wait to see him as well under Hansi Flick. Raphinha, we spoke about him yesterday. I would keep him. You know, he's another player there that can be dynamic. We need those kind of forwards at the club. Somebody there that can score a goal from nowhere. Somebody there who can certainly open up teams, and in different areas as well. You know, we saw it at the end of the season there. He was popping up in all sorts of positions and being really, really effective. So I would keep Raphinha, even despite the fact there that he can raise money, he can be a player that could bring money in. But if you can keep him, I certainly would. But then Ferran Torres, for me, this is another one that does create debate amongst Barcelona fans. Now, personally, I would actually sell him. You know, if there's somebody out there that would put money on the table, the problem is, I just don't really think there is. You know, you don't really hear about interest in Ferran. Xavi, of course, was the man that wanted to bring him in from Man City originally. Then it seemed as though maybe Ferran fell out of favour a bit with Xavi. It's going to be interesting now to see what Flick thinks. You know, is Flick going to put any trust at all in Ferran? Can he find a way to use him, to unlock him? Because, of course, he is a player we paid big money for. He is a big money signing. He hasn't justified that yet. He has not done enough in a Barca shirt. Nowhere near, by the way. He needs to do so much more. more. And if he is going to stay, let's demand that of him. Let's say, actually, he must produce next season. If we have to keep him, if there's an offer on the table, I would take it. I don't think there's going to be. Ferran, we need more. Flick, find a way to get this man playing. And then there's Joao Félix, who honestly is a sort of similar kind of player in many ways, because the talent is in there. You can see it in flashes. Even last season there, he had moments there where you thought, wow, what a player we've got on our hands. But we didn't see anywhere near enough of it. And it's another player there that, like Cancelo, there's no way I'd be spending money on him. There's absolutely no way here that I'd be going to Atleti and saying, right, I'm ready to buy Joao Félix permanently. Don't take on that risk. There's no need to. It's so unnecessary. The only way that I would keep Joao Félix is on the same terms there. Another loan deal. Now, we don't know if that's going to be possible with Atletico Madrid. Barca will certainly try, but that's the only way that I'd keep him, because we haven't seen enough yet from him to justify spending big money on another loan deal. Yes, he's somebody who has talent, who has a very high ceiling, but until we've seen that more regularly, we cannot spend big on him. Which brings us on to somebody who we did already spend big money on, Vitor Roque. Now, we know that last season Xavi had absolutely no faith in him, did not give him opportunities, did not see him as part of his team, and if Xavi had stayed, Roque would probably be about to leave the club right now. But under Flick, everything has changed. He would like to have a good look at him. He is willing to give him a fair opportunity, and there's every chance that Roque could be involved with the first team next season. And for me, I would keep him. I would keep him here at the club. Let's make the best here of our investment that we've made, and let's see him out on the field, because again, he's shown quality. He's able to score goals. He did show that in his rare time on the field, and I just want to see more of him. It's a big time for him in pre-season here under Flick. Let's get that confidence back, because it did take a dent. It did take a real hit under Xavi. Let's build that back up, and let's see the true quality of Vitor Roque in the coming season. But what about Ansu Fati? Another one of the lone players here who are returning. And again, for me, pre-season, it's make or break for him, because there is nothing that I would love more than for him to come back and find something, find something in his game, in his body, physically, to be ready to show what he can do again. But his season at Brighton was not a good one in the Premier League there. He fell completely out of favour with them at the end, wasn't even playing in some of their games, and you just think, how has all of this gone wrong so quickly? Of course he's had injury problems. Of course now there's doubt in his mind maybe about his body and the way that he's able to play, the explosivity that we're not really seeing from him anymore. But I would love to see him come back and just try to find something again. Whether he will or not, we don't know. I'd like to keep Ansu, but if he's unable to do that, there could be another loan. A sale could be on the table as well. But again, where the offer's going to come from? He hasn't shown anything right now that Barca would get a significant amount for him. So I would keep him certainly, have a look at him, and hope that somehow he could find the game that we know that he has, the game that we want him to have. He was such a special talent. And then there's Robert Lewandowski, the centre forward at Barca. Now, I do not like the fact that his wages right now are increasing in the coming campaign. That is something that is absolutely awful for the club, and I think that's a decision that we shouldn't really have made to make that happen. Now, I'd also say from Lewandowski, he needs to improve as well. There's plenty of high-profile players at Barca that need to do more, that need to look better physically as well. He has to be sharper and more consistent in his performances. And again, I would hope that Flick would be able to get more out of him, that maybe he would understand more about where Lewandowski needs to be. Because sometimes, remember, let's not forget, throughout Lewandowski's time at Barca under Xavi, you'd see him at times, always dropping in, trying to get involved in the build-up. At times, he'd break things down. At times, he'd let passes go. And all the time, you were just thinking, get where you need to be, get in the box, get in the right positions, make runs there in the final third. Don't be getting involved too much in the build-up. That is not what you're best at. So I just think with Flick here, he may be able to unlock more of the Lewandowski that we've seen in the past there, the natural finisher, the goal scorer, the player there that can get you match-winning moments. That is what we need from Lewandowski, because he is staying. He is going to remain at the club. He is adamant about that. The club are willing to keep him, but we need to see more like the real Robert Lewandowski. Can he recapture that under Hansi Flick? And then last but not least, it is Marc Guiu. Now, this is a player that Xavi often preferred to Vitor Roque in the second half of last season. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with him this summer. Maybe a loan deal away could suit him. Look at all the forwards here that we could have at the club. You know, you want him to get game time. He's still only 18 years old. He's shown us that he can score a goal. He's got a knack there for being in the right place at the right time. And physically, he's a strong guy as well. He's able to play there up front on his own. So I think they're a loan deal to a club in La Liga could be beneficial to him. We want to see more of him, but Marc Guiu, he will stay as a Barca player, and we do still have high hopes for his future in the game. But guys, what are your thoughts right here and now? You know, looking at that long list there of players, current Barcelona players there who are returning from loan, what would you do ahead of the summer? Who are the players that you definitely don't want here? Who are the players there that maybe you are undecided on? And those players coming back from loan, how many of those would you keep in your team for next season under Hansi Flick? It's an exciting time. We are hoping for better. We are demanding more from every single one of these players. And hopefully, that's exactly what we will see. Thank you indeed here for making it all the way to the end of what has been quite a significant look into our current squad at Barca. I really do hope that you have enjoyed it. Drop a like there if you have. Thank you indeed, guys, for all of your great support. I'll see you back on the channel really soon. But until next time, as always, Visca, El Barça.